All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Took a couple days off. Hope everybody's good. Needed a little reset there after WBC. Get my microphone out of the shot here. Hope everybody's great. It was a rainy day here in New York. Opening day, 3 days away. So we'll do we're on a little season countdown mode right here. It feels like it's going already. Like it feels like as soon as that WBC ended, my life kind of flipped. Just did 2 Yankee games remote on the 20th and 22nd. Saw the Phillies yesterday. Will Warren looked awesome. That was my biggest takeaway. Judge, who had been looking a little bit suspect there at the end of WBC, homered off Nola. So that was interesting. We had some spring breakout games to go check up on. We got a Christopher Sanchez extension that just happened. All the Blue Jays people just got extended. GM, team president, manager, all extended on the eve of the season. Roster moves everywhere, last second injuries, whole bunch of stuff going on as we're getting ready for the countdown to season. 3 days left. I think we'll start off with that. There's going to be that Netflix Yankees-Giants game that will kick us off, and then we'll be off to the races. I will be at the Mets home opener. Total opener, actually, on the 26th on Thursday, part of the NBC coverage. Then I'll be at the Yankee home opener for the studio coverage. We'll be on field that day. When they get back off their West Coast trips, speaking of West Coast trips, I'll also be in Seattle for Sunday Night Baseball with NBC a week from yesterday. So a lot going on, but the show will keep going. The show will go pretty much no matter what. Sometimes the times will jump around based on where I'm at, but I needed that break. That way we can go from here on out. So good morning to everybody here. Got 14 folks in the chat right now. Happy for all you guys. What's up, Carl? I saw your sweatshirt order. That should be in the mail today. I have it right over there on the ground with its order form. Everything getting all packed up. I'll send that out to you today. Appreciate that. Thanks, Ocean View, for helping me out and checking me out on the air. How many games were able to cover this morning? I don't know. We'll see. Let's just get into it. You guys basically request what you want me to look at. First, I'm probably going to putz around for a moment. I'd like to talk for a second here about There's some stuff on there. I have to get more sizes up. To answer your question right here, really quick here, Spectre. The crew necks run really big. So I'm a double XL, but I need to wear an XL. So just size down 1 on those. The hoodies are true to size if you go for the green hoodie. I don't know why that happened, but should be great. Hey, Adam, just got into baseball from the Caribbean. Appreciate your coverage, especially on pitching. Yes. Thanks for being here. Love all the support from the Caribbean. That's great. Thank you so much. Obviously, pitching is my main thing. I mean, I look at hitting through the lens of a pitcher. So, of course, some of the things I say, some hitters might disagree with me, but I have to look at it through the lens that I look at and that I understand. So, we cover it all, but obviously through a pitching lens for the most part. So, just thanks for hanging with us. Can we see Seth Hernandez and Zach Root breakout game? Yes. So, assuming all those games were televised, we'll get into that. First, let me just cover this really quick, this Christopher Sanchez extension. Of course, at first glance, everybody's going to say, oh, he's underpaid. Well, he was already extremely underpaid. So this is the advantage of those early extensions on the team side. Even if the guy does pop and he gets annoyed, turns into a true ace like Sanchez did, doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be able to extend him again and kind of take advantage of the fact that he knows he's underpaid and he can't really negotiate with any other team. So let me go to the trade rumors to get the exact numbers on that. You can see I was using my iPad at the Yankee game yesterday. So see, here's some new information too. Spencer Strider now on the injury list. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Anyway, Christopher Sanchez, he ends up getting $91 million in new money. Left-hander's previous extension in June of 2024 gave the team control over Sanchez's services through 2030. Now he goes to 2032. So So he's making $3 million this year and $6 million next year, $9 million in 28, and then he starts getting bigger money after that. Of course, if he was a free agent, this guy would be getting like 35, 40 million a year at this point with how good he's become. But this is the advantage of signing that deal before a guy really pops. He signed a 4-year, $22.5 million deal. And then right after that, basically accelerated into the stratosphere. So just go looking at the timeline here. They extended it midway through 24. Prior to that, we went over his ascension in terms of velocity and how he kind of was going up the pecking order in Philly. Prior to that, he really hadn't broken out. ERA pluses in 21 of 22 of way south of 100. In 23, he had a really good year, but I don't think he looked at himself quite that way. Then he gets the extension, and then he goes out there and puts up an 8 WAR season last year, number 2 in the Cy Young. So great job by the Phillies. Good for Sanchez that he's not, glad he takes some risk out of his future. I mean, he is getting a ton of money, but it's crazy how fast fortunes can change. I think you guys can all see that. And just wanted to touch on that for a second. As for the Phillies, I saw Wheeler. He might have just pitched in a backfield or something, but he's on the mend. These are the 5 they're going with to open the season. Sanchez, Nola, Luzardo, also freshly extended. Taijuan Walker and Andrew Painter, who officially made the team, who had a pretty nice spring. I'm very curious to watch him. We will definitely have a watching video for his MLB debut when that time comes. You can count on that. And obviously, when Wheeler comes back, how good he looks will really set the ceiling of this team. And then also just kind of the way Nola bounces back. I thought he looked good for us in the Classic. Velocity is still a little bit of a concern probably, but the biggest thing for him is just getting back on the horse again. It was the first year in, I think, 7 seasons he didn't make 30 starts, of a full season. So that was a little odd. Last year for him, kind of a year from hell situation, and he's looking to bounce back. All right, enough about the Phillies. Spencer Strider. Walt Weiss just announced that he's going on the IL with an oblique strain. So Strider, we had been watching him a little bit in spring. We hadn't seen the old Strider yet. He's a fascinating case. Do we have our TJ stuff up here? I'd like to figure out a couple things on Strider. I want to go look at what he looked like his last outing. Let me go pick up his, because right now, Baseball Reference doesn't do a very good job of game logs during spring training. You got to get that from MLB.com. And so I'll do that real quick. Strider was scheduled to pitch today, so they pulled the plug on him today, which is a little unfortunate. This guy's just such a curious case. Literally was the number 1 pitcher in fantasy, coming off of a couple years back. And then, he gets hurt, and it's kind of been interesting since then. Okay, so his last start was his best one versus Tampa Bay on the 11th. Through 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So that was the 11th. All right, let me pull up the TJ Stats Stuff Plus Live, and let's try to find his stuff from that game at least, and see where it was kind of trending before this weird oblique injury that we're about to see. All right, here's Spencer Strider. So again, I mentioned that game: 4 innings, 2 hits, 5 Ks, 1 walk, 9 whiffs, 70.5% strikes. So that's good. Velocity average 94.8. That's pretty far away from where he used to be. Only gives it a 102 stuff grade here. 17 and 8.9. Slider, giving it a below average grade. Curveball below average grade. Changeup slightly above average grade. And this is a guy who used to live in the extremely above average range with all his pitches when he was, sitting 98, 99. I was talking to Sal Fasano, who was with the Braves. Over the last several seasons, had a big impact on a lot of their guys. About Strider, we both kind of agreed that it's interesting the phase he's in right now because he's young, so he can obviously continue to, he's only 27, he can still work towards becoming that stuff monster that he was before. And that was the method to his madness before, just basically being nastier than everybody else, throwing the crap out of the ball, having a perfect tunnel for his slider. The low release height, all of that is incredible. But without the velocity, he has to become a little bit more of a pitcher. He's got to lay in a different, additional layers into his pitching, create different problems for the batters to solve. And he struggled with that so far. It wasn't nearly as effective last year. You go to the offseason, you think you can either work on becoming a more complete pitcher, you can go return to working on the physical traits. Not sure which one he went with, but anyway, this is where we're kind of left at, as he's now on the IL, on the shelf with an oblique injury. This is a possibility right here, as Nick just points out. I wonder if, with all of the talk of his velocity being so far down, he's strained the oblique, trying to reach back to throw harder and prove people wrong. It's not always about other people. It's also about himself. Pitchers who dominate with stuff and they're just way better than everybody else for a stretch, it's a shock to the system when that effect kind of goes away. My good buddy Tim Lincecum pitched with almost no confidence after his stuff started to decline. His identity was wrapped up in being the nastiest guy, not necessarily the best, tactician out there, strategy type of guy, but the guy who they could just put down any number back there and he could fire it, and he knew that people couldn't touch it because he was nasty. I feel like Strider's in that similar boat, so it's going to be interesting to see kind of how he goes from here. Obliques are tricky things. They're not all created equal. I had an oblique once. It was 17 days. Sometimes you see an oblique and it's several months. So we have no idea what we're looking at yet. We'll see what more comes out of this from the Braves side of things. But yeah, another guy on the shelf for the Braves, and the rotation continues to take hits left and right. Let's see what they're looking at right now at this exact moment. It'll be Saylor, Lopez, Holmes, Elder, and Suarez. I know Didier Fuentes made the team after a fantastic spring. I actually want to check in on him a little bit. But yeah, they're expecting to have Schwellenbach. Where's their IL here? Schwellenbach, Strider, Waldrop, Smith, Shawer. All of those guys would be awesome to have, as well as Joe Jimenez in the bullpen. J.R. Ritchie got recently optioned. Maybe they're going to have to rethink that one. But for a team who's looking to get back on the horse here, man, they've had a lot of tough injuries in the rotation. This is just another one of those. We wanted to see Strider out there healthy and kind of, on an upward trajectory as the season went along. So we had to check in on that really quick. All right, Maya, what do we got? Known Mets fan. I always say the Braves are evil and made a deal with the devil to get whatever they want. And this is largely true, but the rotation injuries lately are changing my theory. Yeah, maybe they've used up their devil deal points, but not ideal. Not ideal for sure. So I think this is a good opportunity to look at Didier Fuentes. He's projected now in the bullpen as the last spot. 20.8 years old, got called up, I believe, as a teenager last year, or maybe he had just turned 20. So it didn't go great for him last year. Let's look up Mr. Fuentes. First, let's look him up here so I can figure out what day he pitched on, then we can watch him, because I know his last outing was sensational. And this is the guy a lot of people don't really talk about, despite his age. I mean, look at the spring he had this year. You can't have a better spring than this. 3 games, 1 start, 9 innings, no walks, 17 punchouts. So Didier Fuentes, nasty. Now, where are the game logs? We got to watch this last one versus Philly. Atlanta versus Philly, March 18th. I mean, 4 innings, 8 punchies. You kidding me with that? 4 innings, 8 punchies? All right, first let me pull up the TJ on that. What did I say that was, the 18th? Let's look up the stats first, then we'll watch it. All right, so 68% strikes, 13 whiffs. It's a 4-seam, it's a slider, and it's a splitter. So a 3-pitch mix, pretty simple mix there. 102 stuff grade on the fastball, averages 96.4 with 15.8. What's his arm angle? 29, so below average arm angle. In terms of release height's probably a bit lower, so that's fine. Slider, 87, 3.9, negative 2.3, 104 stuff plus. And then he threw 4 splitters at 88. So slider and splitter are about the same speed. Doesn't have anything really slow, but probably going to be a chase guy. A guy who's going to develop a lot of chase in his game. So we'll watch it and we'll get a sense of it. 6 foot tall with only a 29 degree arm angle means he's going to have a low release height. So the fastball will play up a little bit from that number. Also, this is driving me crazy. My guy Giolito, the first guest of this program, I need to get in touch with him. These more recent free agencies have really gone south for guys, you know, when they push deep into the year. And for whatever reason, Giolito's not finding the traction that he expected. And it's crazy. He should be getting ready to make his first start of the season. Instead, he hasn't even pitched at all. So I'm very upset with him. I don't understand quite why teams are so down on him. I know he's not maybe the belle of the ball this year when you look at some of the underlying stuff, but he's a solid major league pitcher who will help you win games, and ultimately it's about winning games getting to the postseason, right? All right, Didier Fuentes. Here we go. All right, first pitch out here.
A young right-hander is going to work here and makes a nice play on a comebacker and flips over to Matt Olson. One pitch.
Here's a strikeout. This is 98.
The starter. And he blows
up and away. See you later. All right, so what are we looking at here metrically? 17 on the induced vertical break. That's above average. I mentioned he's not tall. 29 degrees is not a very high arm slot.
Could he be the starter?
So up in the zone, this ball's going to have good VAA for sure. There's a punchy right there. Here's another one on a fastball. And that's just middle to Stubbs, and it's by you. He's got really aggressive tempo in his delivery. Ball's exploding out of his hand. Nice one right there. Here's another strikeout.
Really impressive.
This is Otto Kemp up in the zone. See you later. And he had what, one base runner in spring training? I mean, you can't have a smoother spring. Here's a slider punchy. That wasn't great, but worked out. That's that happy accident up and away. You swing under the slider. Rafael Marchand.
See him healthy as well this spring. And he just fools Rafael.
And here's an out for Brian De La Cruz. Ooh, he thought he clipped him there.
To left, Gamble slowing. He's camped underneath it. Two-hand catch, and it's another.
Oh, Ben Gamble. What's up, Ben Gamble? Little fly out there. Here's another strikeout. This is a slider to Binelas. That one's better below the zone. Anyway, I've been intrigued with him. As soon as I saw Fuentes getting called up last year at such a young age, you think to yourself, well, there's got to be a reason that they're trusting him to be up there. I know they had injuries and they were pushed into it, but there's tons of guys in the system that are older and have more seasoning, whether it be in college or minor league experience, what have you. But they had to pick him for a reason. And obviously, this is maybe a little bit of an outlier performance here in spring, but it definitely caught my attention. 17 punchies, no walks, no runs in spring. Pretty dang good. There's a nice slider down and away. Haven't seen the split yet. Here's another fastball strikeout, 98 up top, probably. Yep. And that fastball looks really upward shooting. So maybe he gets back himself into a rotation situation. I mean, this was a 4-inning outing, so he's built up. But he might need to start. Yeah, he might need to start. We just talked about Strider going down. See NY Mets, Jets. Looks like a typical Mets and Jets fan. Love it. Little fly out there.
Back out there for the fourth. They're extending the pitch count is, for me, getting your 4 in and maybe extending it a little bit.
Fastball's been playing. Guys are consistently under it in this game. So interesting to see him so far. This was again the stats on that. I am curious on the VAA. So this is when you're looking at VAA, you see it right here in the middle of the chart. I can't highlight it because it's on a website. I don't believe, but you see the numbers here. They're all going to be negative numbers. The lower the number, the closer you get to that 4 or even below 4 on your fastball means that ball is playing incredibly flat and feels uphill, like that rise effect to the batter. The bigger the number, the more steep it is. So you want to be approaching like 7.5 or 8 if you're at the bottom of the zone and you play that downhill game. So the fastball has good VAA, 4.1 on average, and obviously that's going to be a little bit better as it's more up in the zone. Some of those are a little more down, so the average kind of gets messed up. But either way, you get the point. Low slot, good ride, good velocity, short guy, up in the zone's going to play. Even without a lot of spin, fastball looked great there. He might be an option for the Braves moving forward, and we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. All right, that's enough of the Braves talk, I think, and we'll move on to something else. Let me get in the chat here for a minute. The camera angle not flattering makes him look 3'8". It's okay. Ronaldo topped out at 89, I saw. Yeah, you know, at times, I watched him pitch, Ronaldo Lopez as well, earlier in the year. He's throwing like 88, 89. Then he got up to like 92, 93. We're just going to have to wait and see with him. He's a 100-mile-an-hour guy. He can make it look easy at times, but he's had a whole bunch of shoulder issues, which is not where you want to be. All right, Nick. Lack of reliable starting pitching is a problem, forces you to burn out the bullpen early in the season. Yeah, so look, at the beginning of the season, this is always a weird thing because, you know, starters are built up, but they're also not usually going super deep into the game. So your bullpen gets crushed here early in the season, which is not ideal because you want to, especially your main guys, you want to make sure they're intact, you know, steadily intact as time goes on. But you see a lot of weird roster churn right now. And this is always a funny time of the year. I'll touch on it really quick. You know, roster decisions, final decisions were made the last couple days and these couple days leading up to the season. As a baseball player in that clubhouse, you set your sights on making a ball club, right? You set your sights on making it from the beginning, and you tie a lot of your hopes and dreams on being on the opening day roster. I just think it's always kind of funny to me how much of a success or failure it feels like, and then 2 days into the season, all hell breaks loose. Some team plays a 10-inning game, 12-inning game. Some team loses 3 in a row. Injuries happen. And then, like, people go up there anyway. They're up there 3 days later, and it's like, oh, like, I thought I was bummed out I was going to AAA, but it was temporary. So a lot can happen in the first week. So just keep that in mind when looking at these opening day rosters. Any word about Imai? So we watched Imai one time. We didn't get a total look at him. We'll do a whole video on his debut as well once we get to that. But have not watched him yet. And can we watch Glasnow? Yes, Glasnow had 11 punchies last night in the game versus the Angels. So we'll just hop right over to Glasnow right now. They got to play the Freeway Series, right, yesterday? I might need to reload. Where are we at? Today, that was Sunday the 22nd. Loading. And Mr. Glasnow, 88 pitches, so he's built up. Good to see that they have somebody that's going to start the season roaring. They're probably going to slow play Ohtani a little bit. He'll pitch, but he's probably not going to go deep. Snell's on the IL to start the year. Yamamoto's good to go, but Glasnow is good out the gate. This is a hell of an outing. 5 innings, 11 strikeouts, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 homer. So he got clipped. Also, 18 whiffs. Curveball was the story here with 11 strikeouts on it. 105 stuff grade on the curveball yesterday. 95 on the heater, typical heater shape for Glasnow with that little bit of cut. Mixed in 2 sinkers, which became part of his story last year. All right, let's go watch it. Glasnow versus the Angels last night. Dodgers and Angels. It's nice to be back on the Dugout app as well because I don't really need to be going back and forth to that research tool all the time like we had to do in WBC. All right, here's the first curveball to Zach Neto. And this is why teams really like that righty 4-seam with curveball combo. You get a really good tunnel forming. You can play the up-down game. And curveball, if you think about it, like anything that's dropping like straight down and you're trying to hit it from the side, like it's really hard to time it and square it up perfectly. You hit it, you might hit the top of the ball, you might clip the bottom. It's hard to time that when a ball has such straight, drastic drop down, especially at the speed differential that Glasnow's bringing in. Here's a high curveball that punches out Trouty looking. And he's going to go 3 for 3 in the first inning. 3 strikeouts, all curveballs. As Shanuel, who his swing looked a little different here, to be honest with you, but completely gets nothing but air on that swing. All right, next inning. Here's the home run. Jorge Soler. Clips him on a fastball middle. That's about the only place he gets his fastball hit is when it's down. When he gets it up in the zone, he's beating a lot of guys. That's a good swing by Soler, 109.6 at 21. You know, the Angels, I mentioned before, on their roster, it's a lot of righties with power, but swing and miss in their game. I'm thinking now Trout. I'm thinking now Adele, O'Hoppe, Soler. So at times they're going to look explosive on offense, and at times they're going to be extremely pitchable. But I think Soler is a big, important piece for them if they're going to compete in the West. So good swing there for the home run. And after that, Glasnow doesn't make that mistake again. Pretty much just spams curveballs with 2 strikes the rest of the way. Moncada goes down. That was filthy. Adele's going to go down here. This is filthy. Man, what a curveball. And then another. So 6 strikeouts through 2. That was gross. And that's where you want to throw it for the most part, but his curveball's so good he can get swing and miss in zone with it. Obviously, you want to be below zone here like that, but he was also getting in zone miss as well. So his curveball's in a good spot. Here's a contact out. There's Mr. O'Hoppe. Ground ball to third. Muncie's there. Slider here to Peraza. To Mookie. So a couple contact outs here. In the third, Neto. That's where his fastball plays. That top rail, top of the zone. Nice play there. All right, next inning is going to get some more strikeouts, I'm sure. Here's Trouty. Fastball down. That's the spot where he's a little bit vulnerable. And obviously that's where Trout's swing is grooved for. Really excited for Trout to get back to playing a little center field. Maybe he can, you know, turn back time a little bit here. He's another important factor for the Angels. They really need their big guys to play well. So base hit there for Trout. There's Tucker. Look at Tucker in right field for the Dodgers. Here's a walk. So a little bit of a rocky start to the fourth, and then I think he's going to just come right back with a bunch of punches. Curveball to Soler. See ya. Curveball to Moncada. See ya. That's dirty. And curveball to Adele. Look where this ball bounces. Just shows you that he gets people very anxious. He probably threw a fastball down before that, but I mean, this ball bounces right next to the plate. And it's too late. Too late to hold up. Nasty. So he's punched aside 3 times in this outing that we've seen. Bet it's going to be 4. Not quite. This is a contact out. We talk about a lot of the young guys, but he's definitely a big part. We'll pop up here, Josh Lowe. All kinds of oblique injuries last couple of days. Mixing some bunts. Here's a hit. He's a tremendous outfielder. There's a fair ball. O'Hoppe down the line. He's also an important player. I mean, they have a lot of players with talent. I don't think they're a very balanced offense. They have some guys that, you know, did not play well last year, did not perform the way they wanted to last year, and if they bounce back, they could be more of a factor. O'Hoppe's one of those guys. Here's another strikeout on a curveball. Peraza. See ya. Right below the zone again. Dirty. Neto. Dirty. Another guy getting them a chase way in front of the plate. Where does this one land? Same spot as before, right next to the plate. Really good pitch. And that's it for Glasnow. I mean, just dominant outing. Looking good heading into the year. 88 pitches, so he's perfectly built up if they need him to go right around there for his first start. And, you know, you look at his pitch chart. You know, I've talked about this a lot. The guys that are north-south guys, there's a lot of Blue Jays guys in this camp. Actually, a guy I just played with in the WBC, Kyle Nicholas, I would compare him a little bit to Glasnow. A little bit of a different profile, but it's the same idea. 4-seam, slider, curveball, incredible velocity, trying to play the up-down game, get them to chase below the zone. Glasnow's kind of a big-time archetype in that way, but Nicholas kind of impressed me in that way. We'll see what he looks like with the Reds. Anyway, that's the profile. Straight up and down that middle vertical line. And it keeps you effective versus both sides, righties and lefties. And as long as you stay in your three main lanes in terms of height, four seam where you need it to get, curveball off of that, and then slider enough to keep you honest in the mid speed, you know, you're going to get a ton of chase. You're going to get a ton of whiff. And that's what he had in this game, obviously, with the 11 punchies. 50% whiff rate, 72% whiff rate on the curveball, and the chase rate, 43% chase on that curveball, which is the idea. Get them to swing at bad games. So wanted to check in on that. So we'll probably go look at some other stuff now in a minute. Let's get back here in the chat in a minute. Do you keep a special eye on Rockies games? Of course. I check the Rockies box score every day. Very intrigued this year, you know, especially getting to know Lorenzen a little bit. Dolander's somebody I've been checking up on a lot. I think the Rockies will be a little bit more interesting this year to watch. So always have an eye on them. Red Sox have crazy depth. Oviedo, Tolle, and Early fighting for the 5 spot. I'm curious how that's going to shake out. Early's looked great. I thought Oviedo had the early edge, but I don't know now. Do you think the new Schlittler slider slurve will work? I preferred his old sweeper shape, but maybe his feel for that pitch isn't good or natural for him. We'll check in on Schlittler maybe in a little bit. I'm not aware of this change. I should be, considering I do Yankees games, but I haven't had a Schlittler game yet. So I'll be into that. Glad you're joining us. Any team movers up or down from preseason rankings based on spring training? Not really. I mean, I haven't done an official like power rankings yet of the clubs, but you know, the Braves are somebody I'm a little concerned about with the starting pitching injuries. I think that's a factor. Detroit, probably from my initial preview, probably feeling a little better about them with the Framber thing, but we'll see. It will be Oviedo, not only for the development, but the Sox will get extra years from the rookies. Yeah, that's one way to look at it for sure. But I also know like their ethos is a little bit more let's go for it right now. So let's see how that works out. All right, spring breakout game. I know we wanted to watch the Seth Hernandez outing versus the Tigers. That should be in here. It should be in here. Tigers, Pirates. I hope it's in here, although I'm a little concerned now that I haven't. It should. I'm a little concerned. I don't think this is it. We're going to have to maybe find it on something else. Maybe I do have to fire up the research tool. That's annoying. Don't be looking at my password. Yeah, Max said scouting report said 96, and Homeboy came out throwing a $102 in that game. All right, so we're talking spring breakout. I think it was like 2 days ago, right? Maybe 3. Pittsburgh, Toronto. Pittsburgh, Atlanta. I mean, are these not classified as are these classified as major league games? Okay, yeah, here we go. We got him. All right, Seth Hernandez. So walk, strikeout, double play is his whole outing, but we'll watch it. Because why not? So this was one of my favorite guys in the draft last year out of Corona High School in California. Was in consideration to be a #1 pick. But high school right-handed starting pitchers are usually considered to have the most risk of any type of profile out of the draft. You see some. Hold on, I'm just looking at a text. You see some examples of huge busts. You see some examples of some success as well, but it's a little bit of a gambit. Anyway, I love his delivery. I love his changeup. I love his command that he showed in spring. Obviously, he's got plenty of velo. First pitch, 102.4 to Max Clark. And it's crazy to see this guy because great frame, but absolute baby face. A little bit of adrenaline here in his first game on the big field in this spring breakout game, facing obviously very famous guy Max Clark. There's that changeup, 87. Even though it's not a strike, you can see the action on it. It's one of the reasons I'm excited about this guy. Guys who have a combination of extreme velo and really good feel for a changeup are rare. That's why I like Lagrange so much of the Yankees. But Seth Hernandez is also a guy with that. That's a 3-0 hack on a 100-mile-an-hour heater down the middle. So good for Max Clark letting it eat. Stance looks different for him. But a 3-0 get me over 100 is kind of makes me sad because that's faster than my best bolt of my career. There's a 101 up top. Man, he throws gasoline. So he ends up walking these first two guys, but you can see the raw stuff on the kid. Ooh, just a bit off the corner. He thought that was a strike, but it wasn't. Next batter. Going to start him with a changeup. Oh, Bryce Rainier. Another big prospect. Changeup for a strike. I love that. I love that his best secondary is a changeup. 100-mile-an-hour four-seam coming. He didn't add 7 since the draft. He was sitting 98, 99 in high school. I don't understand the 97 on the scouting report or whatever it was, but he's always had really good velo. That's part of the reason why he was so highly rated. Here's another changeup. You can see it's got really good fade, and it's 15 miles an hour off the heater. So once he figures out his command of everything and gets himself in the right lanes, that's going to be a great combination, the fastball and the changeup that will play to both sides. But definitely a little outside of himself in this outing. Here comes walk number 2 in a minute. I mean, he's just living above 100. It's crazy to see these days, how hard everybody throws. All right, so 2 walks, and then he pitches a little better after that. So let's get into it. First pitch, change up. Dirty. That's a nice changeup. I want to go look at his TJ stats, but this is a very good changeup. Hard to teach the feel of that pitch. Kind of have to have it. Changeup again, down. Good pitch. So changeup. Probably fastball in would be nice here. Let's see. Yep, goes a fastball, gets a take. 1-2. Ooh, curveball. First look at the breaking ball. Ooh, very nice. Very nice breaking ball. Even though it's in the zone, that's going to pair well with his high heater as well. So I think he's going to be great against left-handers. Gives him a good shot to stick as a starter. Good curveball there. And now I think he gets a double play here to get out of this inning during this at-bat. First righty he faces. Fastball up and away. Called strike. Doors up and in. 0-2. Internet. Man, I had it too, right? As I hit refresh. Does he also throw his sinker? His changeup with the sinker would be tough on left-handed hitters. Oh boy. Let me just backtrack for a sec. All right, let's start this over. Here's the double whale. Time out. Previous pitch. All right, we're up to the 0-2. 0-2 fastball. Misses off the corner. I don't believe he's a sinker guy yet. Well, we'll find out, but I don't think so. Typical yank right there. And then we're going to get a double play on a curveball. Man, they got 2 on this? Double play. And that's it for his outing. He threw really well, though. Obviously the 2 walks, but you see the stuff. So, interesting guy to evaluate. Let me see if I can't find his stuff. So this was on the 20th. me reload a few things here. All right, March 20th. Select the game. I don't think this is so we got to put minors or prospects. Yes. All right. We got it. Outstanding. 1 inning, 1K, 2 walks, 47% strikes, 4 whiffs. There was one sweeper in here that graded as a 126, and that's just incorrect because it says it's 102.4 miles an hour, so that's wrong. But he averaged 100.6 on the fastball with 16.5 inches of induced vertical break, 46-degree arm angle, and he's 6'4", so that's probably more close to average in terms of ride. You see that VAA number we just looked at Fuentes was lower. It was at right around negative 4.1. He's at negative 4.5. So despite the velocity and everything, this fastball will play a little bit differently than a guy who's up shooting it. Anyway, stuff grades are there. Obviously, it's all related to velocity for the most part. 105 stuff grade on the changeup, which I think is a great pitch. And then his curveball has got a 107 stuff grade on it. He only threw 2 of them, but he commanded them well. Negative 12.3 at 82. That's a good pitch. No way around it. That's just a good pitch. Sweeper's not a real thing, so that didn't happen. But interesting guy to look at. Huge pick. We'll see how quickly he can move. He's only 19 years old. I mean, you can tell by the by the face here that he's like not fully developed yet. He's not through it yet. So another guy that I want to monitor as his career moves on. I honestly thought Hernandez could be in a trade package this offseason, good on the Pirates for improving without giving him up. Tough guy to give up. Huge ceiling. Huge ceiling. Ayo, can you explain briefly the strike box we see and its accuracy? Is it 100%? No. And so I was talking about this a little bit yesterday while I was doing the Yankee game. I'll just pull up anything. Let me pull up the Yankees-Phillies from yesterday. Now, there was a ton of challenges in this game, like a ton. I'm trying to think who did a lot of the challenging early. I guess it was the Yankees with Will Warren pitching. Yeah, here's one, for example. And then I'll kind of talk a little bit about what I was talking about. So he goes to the ABS on this, and it ends up being a strike. Now, something that I've realized while watching these games now and kind of where the threshold is, there's nuance here, and here's where it starts. Okay, look at where the pane of glass is over the plate. It is midway through. It's 8.5 inches from the tip and 8.5 inches from the back. So it's directly in the middle is where this new threshold, where the ball has to break that plane over the plate in the parameters to be a strike. It's no longer the front of the plate. So for guys that are going to be throwing ball strike pitches like back doors or front doors, I actually think this is going to play a little bit in their advantage because you don't have to get it back to the plate at the tip. It can still get back about midway through and break that threshold. And I think that's going to mess with a lot of hitters' perception of the zone. But I also think it's going to be a huge advantage for hitters that are trying not to chase, because pitches that are starting in the zone and then are going to break out of the zone are going to be a little easier to take. So this is a perfect example of a ball that, to me, like you see it in the air right here, it looks like it's probably off the plate, but it's still on the way back. There's still another couple inches coming back at that moment, and then it can kind of break the plane midway and get called a strike on the ABS. Whereas a lot of the pitches that I think this would have been a bad thing for me on my slider, at least. I'm throwing the slider. It seems like it's in the strike zone for a long time, and I used to really count on kind of clipping that front edge of the plate. There's another at-bat in here that demonstrates this. There was a hitter here who was pissed off, and he ends up walking. Maybe it was a different pitcher in the game, but there was somebody here from the Phillies. Man, who was it? Who was it that had an at-bat where it was just... I gotta find it. Just had one of these at-bats where he was like, there's no freaking way. I think it's Dylan Moore. Yeah, okay, so here's a good example about what I'm talking about too. This is the opposite effect. So this is like a pitch that in the past, it would feel like if you're a pitcher, you're clipping the front of the zone, And then even though the ball looks off the plate, you clipped it on the way through. But now, because the threshold's further back, pitches that are close like this, you're going to see a lot of them go the batter's way now. First of all, I don't know how that's not a swing. I mean, I can see his barrel. But anyway, so it might have traveled just over the plate at the tip, but it's not at the midpoint. So when it comes off the plate away, a little bit away, and the guy goes to challenge it, which he does here, you're going to see it's going to be a little bit off the corner. So I think guys who rely on big levels of chase on the borderline pitches where they're strike then ball, I think they're going to, some of those pitches are going to end up being balls like this one is. And I think guys who are trying to do the freezes, the ball strike pitches, some of those are going to end up strikes. So I think that's a little nuance, something I just kind of realized by watching this yesterday. And ultimately, you know, that gave this guy new life. And he was able to continue his at-bat. Now, he got out anyway, because Will Warren was freaking amazing yesterday. But, yeah, that's a little bit of nuance with the ABS there. And I wanted to share that, and I thought that was a good question. A good question. At first, the ABS zone was 3D like the rulebook described. You know why I changed to 2D in the middle? I think it's just for accuracy. I think the 3D zone is hard technologically to get perfect right now. So this threshold in the middle, I feel like that's where they landed. And as a player, you know, it's not our, when I was playing, it's not our job to complain about it. It's just to adapt to it. And that's kind of what the players are dealing with right now. And we'll kind of see how it swings. I do think advantage hitters slightly, I think we'll see the league numbers tilt slightly favorable to the hitters here. Just like a little bit of creep back in their direction. Not a whole lot because the pitching is so good, but a little bit. I think a little bit with the ABS. Sorry if you answered this already, but of all the players on the cusp who were sent to minor league camp, how many do you think were sent down for the extra year player control? So this is a little bit different than it used to be. I mean, you are incentivized now if you have a really big stud, like a Connor Griffin who did get reassigned, to actually have him up there in the first 10 days because you can get additional draft picks if he hangs on and has a really good rookie season. Otherwise, you do have to kind of wait it out, and you're trying to create an extra year of control. That's something that was a no-brainer for organizations for years, and for now, it's not really a no-brainer. They have to think about it a little bit more. There's more variables there. So I think in some cases it's the case, in some cases it's not, but they're all trying to make those evaluations and figure out what will add the most value to the organization. We have seen some rookies been given the keys right out the gate. Justin Crawford, for the Phillies, I mean, he's given the keys to center field. So he'll be out there. And you'll see that from around the league, you know, in different spots. Carson Benj is probably getting the keys now in right field with Tauchman going down. But everything looks like a swing to me. Yeah, well, I'm a pitcher. But yeah, every team makes their own evaluation on it. Of course, there's a lot of weird roster manipulation, service time manipulation that goes on, but they're all just trying to extract maximum value out of every asset they have. So that makes a lot of sense when you really think about it for a minute. Anyway, that was Seth Hernandez. Was there somebody else from this game that we wanted to watch? Somebody mentioned somebody in here, I thought. Was it Xander Muth? No, it couldn't have been. Anyway, all right. Let me get back into the chat here and figure out what the heck to look at next. Honestly, for top 25 prospects, I don't think the extra draft picks aren't not enough big incentive to stop service manipulation. Yeah, but I mean, like you look at it like with Skeens, like Skeens ended up earning the entire year of service anyway because of the rules. So they could have had him up earlier, the Pirates, and then they didn't. And, you know, I don't think it was going to make a big difference in terms of how they, you know, were winning or losing that year, but he could have easily been in there, you know, a month or two earlier. Like, for sure. All right, I kind of want to check out the Schlittler stuff since people are asking me. Right? So now I'm curious about Cam and what he did with his stuff here. Cam Schlittler. I want to look at his last outing. He's going to be pitching first time through the rotation for the Yankees as well. Very intrigued to see what he looks like this year. This was his spring this year. 3 starts, 9 2/3, .93 ERA, 6 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, everything outstanding. Let's look at his game logs. Most recent game was versus Detroit. Only 1 strikeout. That's a little odd, but I still want to look at it. March 21st, Yankees at Tigers. March 21st, Yankees at Tigers. Okay. Let's look at Cam. Yeah, so there is no sweeper now. That's a good call. Whoever threw that out earlier now, there's this pitch, the slider. So they're going 4-seam, cutter, curveball, sinker, and slider. Also, no changeups in this outing. Obviously, all his stuff grades are great. Guy throws the absolute piss out of the ball. He's super nasty. We've covered him a lot last year. His start in the postseason was amazing. But yeah, curious to see this new slider pitch now that they're going without it. I think maybe in a way they're just trying to keep him a little more north-south, get him in a little bit of a different speed band here. 87, 88. All right, Detroit Yankees 21st. Hopefully we get this game so I can watch it a little bit. My Northeastern Husky, Mr. Cam Schlittler. All right, we're going to get him. All right, we'll watch the whole outing, and then I'll hunt for those sliders. So I gets this first guy out with a cutter, which we don't even see the pitch. Typical spring training coverage. All right, next batter. Slider to Torkelson. Man, what a bad camera angle. There's one right there. -5, -4. All right, do we have another camera? No. -5, -4. 86. Now, what did he throw this off of? So there's back-to-back sliders in this. Let me watch this whole sequence. First pitch, sinker. Don't have any visual on that. Second pitch, sinker. Don't have any visual on that. Third pitch, foul ball. Don't have any visual on. This is killing me. What's wrong with these people? All right, so we get both sliders at least.
The 1-2 in the dirt.
I think the idea probably is to get a little bit more chase. The sweeper doesn't generate as much chase, so if it's not going to be a huge part of your game, it's not going to be a huge part of your game in zone, like he doesn't really need it in zone, then yeah, maybe it makes sense to go to a little bit of a pitch with less speed separation that you can tunnel better and get chase.
Ground ball to third.
Not a great location there, but that could be part of it. And now he's got 2 pitches with depth. Considering his high slot, 2 pitches with depth at different speeds in the slider and the curveball could be a good adjustment. Yankees obviously do this for a reason, so we'll learn about that as we go. There's a fastball sinker to Riley Green for a strikeout, 99 miles an hour. This camera angle is a killer.
It is. He's hanging out with mom.
Smiling baby with dimples. Look out.
Holt Keith, grounder to Med Rosario, I believe.
Thrown out at first.
In spring, it's good.
Here's a sinker. I love the fact that he's throwing sinkers now. The 2 fastball approach, if you have upper 90s, is going to be sick to watch. The thing that impressed me the most about Schlittler last year
But his hands are so quick, he doesn't have to.
is just how quickly he got better. McGonigal, all he does is get hits. Let's watch the whole at-bat with McGonigal because he's been incredible.
Field with stands and no tunnel.
2 young bucks going at it. First pitch, cutter, ball. So he's probably going to go cutter to slider quite a bit as a tunnel, I would imagine. Second pitch, cutter, strike. Here comes a curveball.
He just kind of nodded his head with a smile. He likes what he sees.
Ejecto mitt, but a strike. Another curveball. So cutters, curveballs to lefties. Looking like the game plan. And then front door sinker attempt, which I love. Just misses low with it, but that was a good shot right there. Try to go for the freeze. 3-2, 4-seam. Fouls it away, and then he goes back to the cutter, and McGonigal stays through it and droops it in there. This guy, I just haven't seen him get out yet, so I'm curious if he's going to make the roster. Anybody know if he's made the Tigers? It feels like he should. Feels like he should. All right, next batter, out with a cutter here. McKinstry. Oh, Wellesley. Nice play. Here's a hit from Javi. Hit that pretty hard, huh? 103. There's a one pitch out from Meadows. Oh, it's a bunt. Oh, here comes Rosario. Got him. Here's an out on a curveball of Kerry Carpenter. I mean, look, I think Schlittler is like in a great place. The only thing he has to worry about now is any level of complacency. He just has to stay hungry, continue to learn. Now he's going to be in the rotation with Garrett pretty soon. Continue to learn from Garrett, Rodon, Fried, everybody around him, Matt Blake, obviously, and just keep on the same path he's on. Listen to these guys. Incorporate what they're saying into your game. Stay consistent mentally, because stuff-wise, I mean, you're throwing 96-mile-an-hour cutters. You have the pitches to get everybody out. So the Yankees starting rotation, I think, is going to end up being incredible and an incredible strength for them. And Schlittler's rise has been a big part of that.
100 feet tall in
Colt Keith.
Ooh, Colt Keith.
Where was that pitch? 1.1 inches down. Pretty close. Yeah, this is another point. Stay off Twitter, young buck. Stay off Twitter, my friend. Learn those lessons early. No point in it.
They saw fewer fastballs.
Dylan Dingler, who robbed the Gold Glove from Alejandro Kirk last year. Fly out to center, and that's it for Schlitt. I mean, look, I don't know about this slider yet. We'll watch it as it goes, but intriguing that he doesn't have that pitch kicked way out left on the chart anymore. You can see it's similar break to the curveball. These greens are the sliders and the blues are the curveball. So it's kind of two different versions of the same shape. And sometimes when you have that, that's really effective speed-wise. You can kind of see if a guy's early or late, and you can kind of play that off of each other. Very high on cam. You know, you just got to stay consistent, stay healthy. Don't get ahead of himself. Stay present. He should be fine. So excited for him, excited for this whole Yankee staff, really. Really excited to watch them. Will Warren looked incredible yesterday. Heel looked incredible a couple of games ago that I did. He came out angry. I saw he's getting left back in Tampa for a little bit because they don't need a fifth starter, but you know, that's the reality when you have the depth. You know, Weathers came in. Obviously, there's Fried. Schlittler's not going anywhere right now. So they have an embarrassment of riches, and that's without Schmidt, Cole, Rodon, even healthy right now, not to mention Elmer and Legrand. So they're in a pretty good spot. Thoughts on Yankees going a four-man rotation, leaving Heel off the opening day roster? This is just, it sucks for him, but you see this quite a bit early in the year because of schedule stuff, you know? Here's the regular season schedule for the Yankees. So they go, look, I mean, they don't really need a fifth starter because of these off days. They have the opener on the 25th, versus the Giants, and they're immediately off on the 26th. Then they play two more, and then they're off again in Seattle, which is actually awesome because I'll be there on the 29th, so maybe I'll catch a little breakfast with Garrett if I can get him out of bed. And then so they have 2 off days there. Then you get into April, and there's another off day immediately after Seattle. So 3 off days in like the first 7 days or so, and then another off day on the 6th. So they don't really need a fifth starter until they get into this Athletics at Rays stretch where they have a bunch of games. So it's unfortunate for Heel because he looked really good his last outing, but it does them a disservice to just shove him in the bullpen. They have enough guys out there anyway. They have to carry Cade Winquest, I believe, who's a Rule 5 guy. I mean, they're having a hard enough time narrowing down their bullpen as it is. To throw Heel in there doesn't make sense. They'll keep him in Tampa. They'll keep him built up. And then they'll bring him back in the loop as soon as they need him. But this is the bullpen that's projected right now. They have Heel in here. Or maybe they're keeping him as a reliever. But either way, he's not going to get those starts just because of those off days. Bednar, Doval, Cruz, Heel, Bird, Blackburn, Yarborough. Winquest was the Rule 5. He's more of a starter type. So that's 3 long guys in Blackburn, Yarborough, and Winquest. That's a weird place to be, but also could really help them early in the year. As we mentioned, the starters don't go as deep. You don't want to crush your bullpen so bad. Having a guy who can throw multiple innings is great. They have 3 of those guys. And then Luis Heel as well. We'll see what happens with him. So that's some Yankee stuff. All right, back to the chat. What else you guys got here? If you want a bad camera angle, the other day Mets versus Marlins, the second base umpire completely blocks the catcher and batter the whole game. Well, tell that dude to move his ass over. You know what I'm saying? I'm interested to see how ABS will affect hitters that crouch. So Saw a few hitters complained about this, but they're not going to get their wish. It's based off of your height. So if you crouch, your strike zone still is going to feel bigger than your crouch. So you just have to kind of deal with, you can crouch if you want, but that you can't take away any extra strike zone by crouching anymore. So I find that interesting. Can I talk a little bit about how I analyze the pitch data? All right, well, I'll just go off the TJ stats for a second. It's not, I mean, there's so much to this. But, all right, so first thing you look at is you look at the basic movement chart. You tend to have a pretty good idea of what the averages are in terms of break on each pitch type, right? Like four-seam fastballs, right around 15 inches of induced vertical break is about league average. So you immediately go ahead and look, are they above that? Are they below that? Typically the dots, you'll be able to see that on the chart, but then you can go down and look at the numbers. Like for example, right here, we're looking at Cam Schlittler. He's got 17.4 inches of IVB, which stands for induced vertical break. That means that's above average, above that 15. Now, you also then have to correct for released height, because depending on your height, that changes the angle at which the ball is approaching the plate. Now, up in the zone, you want the ball to look a little more flat. So that's why I always loop in, where's his arm angle? How tall is he? And then ultimately that manifests itself in this stat, VAA, which is a vertical approach angle. I mentioned the lower the number, the more flat, the higher the number, the more steep. So with certain pitch types, you're looking for certain things. You're looking for a really low number on a good four-seam, looking for a really high number on any type of breaking ball, or sometimes on two seams. Horizontal approach angle is another thing to look at. You're looking for an outlier number, a big number on either side, just would show if a guy's extremely tilted and throwing kind of inward from the left or the right. If you're an outlier in that way, that's another way you can be better. But you got to look at everything, and it all kind of works together to kind of give an idea of the presentation. The extension is something, so he's right around league average extension, maybe a touch above, which I thought he was below before, so I'm not sure I'm going to buy a lot of these extension numbers. But if you have above average extension, then your fastball velocity should actually look faster than the number. If you have below, it should look slower than number. So you look at all those different things, then you look at how the pitch performs. How often does he throw it in the zone? How often do they swing at it out of the zone? How often do they miss it? Right? So all those things come into play. You can go evaluate the contact quality on each pitch. And I'm kind of glossing over it a lot. There's a million different numbers to look at, but you kind of put it all together and you get a sense of how good a guy's pitch is one way or another. And on top of that, these different systems out there give it grades, 100 being league average. So anything over 100 is considered above average by the percent that it's above. So if it's 111, it's 11% better than league average by this metric, by this model. So this is TJ stats, but you can also go look at the barnyard. Stockyard. What am I talking about? You can also go look at Stockyard. My thing this is by my guy Robert Stock. So if you're going to go look at Cam Schlittler here, he has a similar grading system here where he'll tell you his stuff plus he has him as 116, location at 102. You can go look individually, has his fastball at 100, cutter at 106, curveball at 104, sinker at 97, sweeper at 112, which he's not even throwing anymore. There's so many different things you can look at, but I like to try to tie what we're reading off these charts to also watching and getting a sense of what the actual thing looks like. So anyway, talked a little bit about it. Hopefully that helped you a little bit, Trash Panda. All right, what else we got? The only move the Tigers made on Saturday was releasing Austin Slater. The Rays might have the worst staff in the AL East, and it's not even bad. That's the most deadly division in baseball, in my opinion. I think most of you would agree. I mean, anytime you have 5 competitive teams and 4 pretty dang competitive teams, it's going to be tough. Just got on as you're doing Schlittler. Have I talked about Weathers yet? Have not talked about Weathers yet. Do like him. I know he got roughed up a little bit late in spring, but I'm expecting big things of him. That was my favorite Yankee move of the offseason. Do you see Dollander starting the year in the pen? No, I see him being a starter. I don't know what the Rockies are thinking. If they go to the pen, I'd be surprised. He needs to be pitching in the rotation. I just think he's a starter. Thoughts on Manaea being used as a piggybacker to start the season? Well, they do have the 6 starters. It makes some level of sense. I don't know if they're exactly sure what we're looking at with Manaea yet. I know his last outing we actually watched on the stream. 12 up, 12 down. Velocity is still not there. Shapes are getting better. He is looking more healthy, in my opinion, because he's looping his changeup and his sinker in more. But it's just about the velocity with him. So Mets are just making some tough calls here, and I think it makes a little bit of sense. He's got experience doing a piggyback thing with the Giants, so it's not exactly foreign, but I think the main goal is to get him rolling so he can get back in the rotation again. I have difficulty understanding when outlier numbers are bad versus good. Most of the outlier numbers are good on either end of the spectrum, but I'll always point them out if there's any specifics. Is this a narrative? Is this happening? Now I have to go look this up. Do we have anything on Dolander? Chase Dolander news. Opening season in bullpen. Why? Why? I don't want to read the RotoWire one, but is there like a... Are they that deep in rotation? I know they hired some adults to pitch this year, Sugano, Quintana, Lorenzen, but Feltner back off injury, so he's back in there. I don't get this. Why would he start in the bullpen? What's the reason? What is the reason for this? So I guess he had a 6.43 ERA, didn't look great in Cactus play. Lower leverage multi-inning roll out of the bullpen. So they're not sending him back to minor leagues at all, but I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Don't really get it. Don't really get that at all. And if numbers don't work for you, go by what your eyes tell you. Well, I mean, for the most part, the numbers, they give you a lot of hints, but you also have to kind of watch it too. I mean, there's been guys in the past that have had, very favorable numbers, but then it doesn't play out in real life, and you have to try to figure out why by watching it. I just get the sense a lot of people don't watch a lot of baseball, and that's what's fun about our show. We watch a lot of baseball. Is average fastball 2,200 RPM? Yeah, I'd say right around there. Right around there. I don't know what the averages are on each pitch. Maybe we have some info on that, but I think it's just kind of four seam. It makes a lot of sense to look at, not really sinkers and stuff, because well, let's see if I can go leaderboards, pitch arsenal stats, no leaderboards. Oh, here we go. Pitch arsenals? No. Average spin. All right, so on a four seam, if you're going to go to like 50th percentile, so it would be right around where it's white. Yeah, you're looking at 2,300 now. Looks like that's about average. 2,300 on four seamers coming out of last season. Sinkers, 2,200, so about 100 less. This is a silly exercise, but we'll do it. Cutter, 2,400. Cutter's always funny because you get credit sometimes. Like, I've talked about this in the past, but it's like Cutter is like just a slightly off center four seam most of the time. So it's like, I think sometimes the spin rate calculator gives it a little bit of a boost because it's calculating like this spin, but it's also adding in a little bit of like the gyro spin as well. So those are kind of ticking up a little bit. And I just think it maybe is a little miscalibrated, but yeah, you'll see usually a slightly higher spin on a cutter than a fastball. Anyway, that's just maybe a small pet peeve of mine. Changeup, now we've seen every type of changeup in the book, but for what it's worth, about average looks like 1750. Curveball, 2,500. Splitter's a weird one because you want to be really low spin, so 1,300 is average, but you go ahead and look at the bottom of the barrel. You know, the guys that throw really big fork balls, 675. Sasaki's even lower than this. He's like in the 300s. Sweeper average looks like it's about 2,500. So you get the idea. Those are the averages, but you can be on any side of that you want to be on. Oh, yeah. Don't forget 5-time opening day starter Freeland. Forgot about Free. So they do have 5 starters, I guess, if Feltner's going to be in there. But Dollander, I want to see him continue to get the opportunity that like Will Warren got this past year. I talked about it a lot in the broadcast yesterday. Like, you just don't see a lot of guys that get an opportunity to make 30 starts in the big leagues and have the freedom to fail and learn from that failure. Dollander got a good run last year, but I want that to continue. They don't need him to be great yet, but they need to absolutely give him the best chance to develop going forward. If they feel like that's out of the bullpen, then that's what they feel. But for me, I'd like to see him continue to get the ball in the rotation. Sure, the Rocks' rotation is deep, as in they'll be giving up a ton of deep homers. I am worried about Sugano with the home run ball for sure, and probably Q a little bit as well. We will see. All right, nothing else in the chat right now. What should I look at? What should I look at today? It's a good question. Okay. Anything you guys want me to take a peek at in the chat, please fire it in there, and we'll go watch some baseball if there's some more stuff you guys want to look at. But did we miss anything from the prospect breakout games? I feel like kind of some of them are entertaining, some of them aren't. It's kind of more individual based. Blue Jays, huh? So what from the Blue Jays would you like to look at? We'll get to opening day pitching matchups the day before opening day. We'll start with, I guess, tomorrow, since the Yankees play 2 days after that. Zach Root, spring breakout. Who's Zach Root and where is he from? 3 innings pitched, 8 Ks, up to 99 from the left. What team? Who'd they play? We'll definitely watch him. Yasavage is out. Yasavage hurt his shoulder. So one of the things we were concerned about him last year is like, how can he do it with this delivery? I was on the record saying don't mess with it, but he's hurt. So he's starting the year on the IL. Kind of sucks. He was a huge story last year. But, yeah, what can you do? All right, Dodgers, White Sox is the answer. Zach Root. Okay, here it is. Plays. Let's look for this guy, Zach Root. Here he is, Mr. Zach Root. We'll watch him. So is this a Dodger? This is a Dodger. And we'll have to go ahead and look at his TJ stats and find out more about this gentleman after we watch him pitch. Oh my God. Short stride, rock and roll, delivery, curveball, strike 1. Ooh, he's got a little Tim Collins in that lean back from the left side. Curveball, curveball. Change up. I think he hides the ball extremely well. I think this is an awkward delivery, and you know I love awkward deliveries. I'm surprised he can throw as hard. Here's 96.6. Huh. He had no shot after change-up, curveball, or curveball, changeup, and then fastball. See you later. Next batter. Left on left. Slider strike. This is Dodgers' first-round pick from last year, huh? Okay. Now a changeup left on left. I like that. Ball, 1-1. Sorry we can't get these on dugout, but that's the issue with the spring breakout games. There's a screaming heater for a ball. I mean, no doubt he's hiding the ball well. There's no doubt with the way he kind of leans back, and then he's got a little bit of a, I don't know, something with his hands here. Nice curveball. That's a good pitch. And then 98.6. Man, he throws gas. I would not think he'd be able to throw this hard from this delivery, but he sure can. Curveball slapped foul. This is a tough at-bat left on left. No way around it. And then this is 98.6 as well. Oh. The Dodgers have so many guys. It's just crazy. All right, so strikeout. Oh, here's the big prospect, Braden Montgomery. Does he kneecap him with the first pitch? Jeez. Changeup. Definitely slinging it a little bit, but good raw stuff, no doubt. 2-0 curveball. 3-0, shaking his head. Definitely pretty animated on the mound body language-wise. Wow, 3-0 swing? I guess it's the spring breakout. She might as well go for it. Foul ball. 3-1 curveball. Dirty. No play at second. Man, so breaking ball is his strike pitch, which I find intriguing. I mean, the sinker's weird pitch or whatever that fastball's doing. Catcher's having trouble. Looks like he yanks it a lot. There's a slider. We hadn't seen this one yet. Yeah, not great command in this game and definitely bad body language, but I mean, I don't really care. He just got into pro ball. I definitely like the fact that it's abnormal delivery with some really good stuff from the eye test. So we'll look at him a little more once we get through this. 3-1 sinker ball. And 3-2 curveball. He's got a really good curveball. No doubt about that. All right, Zach Root. Let's find out a little bit more about him. Los Angeles Dodgers. Top prospects. He shows up at number 13. Hasn't progressed out of rookie ball yet. 40th overall pick in last year's draft. 50 fastball, 60 curveball, 50 cutter, 60 changeup. So that's why we saw so many curveballs and changeups. That's his thing. After spending his first 2 seasons at ECU, Root transferred to Arkansas, became the ace of the team that finished third at the 2025 College World Series. He finished NCAA Division I with 126 punches and 99 and a third. Low 90s sinker, although that's looking a lot harder there. But he's been in the upper 90s in offseason, so they already had an idea that his velocity was climbing. Best weapon is an 83 to 85 changeup and low 80s curveball. He had 51 strikeouts on the curveball last year. Lots of deception with an unusual delivery that features a high leg kick and a deep arm swing leading up to a 3/4 arm slot that enables him to stay on top of his offerings. Mechanics don't hamper his strike throwing ability, not overpowering. It looked pretty overpowering to me at times there. So I'm intrigued by him. Let's go find him on the prospects game. I don't know. Did I miss a whole bunch? I mean, I guess I missed a whole bunch. 8 Ks. I didn't watch this whole outing. Sorry about that, but I don't really think I need to. Anyway, I want to see his grades. So he averaged 97.2 at the 4, so much for being a low 90s guy. 95 with the sinker, 97 with the 4. The pitch it likes the most is his breaking stuff. Curveball 109, slider 110, stuff great, changeup 100. So stuff's great across the board. Incredibly steep VAA with that curveball, negative 8.8. Just another weapon. Let's see how quickly this guy moves up to Chavez Ravine, but 6'2" with a 63-degree arm angle, so very high release. I just thought he hit the ball very well. I think he's going to be tough to hit. Obviously, he had 8 punches in this game that we just saw, but I don't know. Definitely going to lean on the curveball and the changeup a lot. Kind of an interesting guy to keep a tab on. Never heard of him before, so thanks for telling me to take a look at him. We watched Glasnow already. It's a little earlier on the stream if you want to go watch the curveballs. All right, back to the chat. If you have a stuff model, what would you put more weight into? Shape, release, or approach angle? I think approach angle more than shape. But the thing about approach angle is it changes where the ball's at in the zone. I just think the angle matters more necessarily than the total natural ball flight. It's more about the angle than how much the ball uniquely moves. But it's a combination of everything. You can't, I don't know how I would weigh it yet. I've never had to make a stuff model. I'd like to try someday. How many players who participate in WBC you think will be suffering from WBC hangovers upon their room? Well, they're all going through it now. You go look at the velocity on all the guys that pitched in WBC and then now in spring games, like Bednar was 3 miles an hour down. It's because like you just can't get that same juice after you've been in a packed stadium in Miami or whatever in a big game, in a close game, and then you're going back to a game that's basically meaningless for you. So you're just trying to check boxes. They all have the hangover, but that'll go away on opening day, back when you have stakes again. And then you'll hit the dog days, but that's not related to WBC. That's later. We covered Strider on the IL. Not great. He's got a real slow start, then explodes into his release. Going to be extremely hard to hit, especially with all his pitches he's got. Got to work on his command. Yeah, he looks spotty with the command there, Carl. I mean, I guess somehow he ended up with no walks there. And I like the fact that he can land his off-speed pitches for strikes behind in the count. But yeah, I mean, to me, it does look like his delivery both helps him, but also hinders him at times. When you kind of have that, like that delayed, like little release where your hand's almost a little late, it helps you in terms of the ball appearing late to the batter and kind of jumping on the hitter, but it hurts you a little bit in terms of the consistency and availability to get your hand to the right spot over and over and over again. And anytime you have trouble repeating, that's when command issues pop up. So we'll follow him as he starts his journey, but good first look at him there for sure. I also saw this, Dean Kramer starting in AAA. We were wondering, they had 6 guys. He's the odd man out. He goes to AAA. Orioles now have a little bit of a depth situation there, which they certainly didn't have a year ago. So I guess that's good news for them. Sucks for Dean Kramer, but I don't know. Maybe if he stayed and didn't go to pitch for Israel, maybe that was different. I don't know. There's so many questions I have there. Can we check on Sonny Gray and his 9 punchies? Absolutely. More important question. If you had a stuff model, what would you call it? Like AO, stuff AO. I like this. This is good. I don't know. It's a good question. If you had a wine company, would you call it Ottavino? Probably. Did I see the Red Sox trio of last year's draft packs pitch? No, we can do that. We have time. We can look at that. But I want to watch Sonny, and then we can watch more Red Sox too. Do I think Gore will thrive in Texas? I hope so. He's got the stuff to do it. We'll see. Third organization for McKenzie. All right, let's go look at Sonny Gray. When did he pitch? Did he just pitch? You said yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. It must have been 2 days ago. No. Am I missing it? I think, hold on, where was it? So I guess it was yesterday. What, did they have 2 games? STL Houston, and then, is there another STL game? Am I wrong? Did I miss Sonny Gray? Oh, it's Boston. I keep thinking he's on the Cardinals. He plays on the Red Sox now. Why am I a dumbass? March 22nd. Sorry, guys. He's on Boston now. Boston versus Pittsburgh. Sonny G. Sonny D. 6 innings, 2 hits, 4 hits, 9 Ks, no walks, 1 hit batter, 1 homer, 71.8% strikes, 10 whiffs. Sonny's, all his big stuff is on the breaking balls. I'm sure somebody commented on it, but I messed it up. Boston. Yeah, Boston versus Pittsburgh. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is what you're dealing with Sonny now. Stuff grades are going to hate his fastball, but they're going to love his breaking pitches, but he has a lot of know-how, and so he knows how to do it. So Red Sox Pirates from yesterday. Let's watch that. Pittsburgh Pirates, Boston Red Sox. We are catching up on a lot of stuff here since I didn't do a show for a few days. Sonny motherfucking Gray, baby. All right, 6th inning outing here, so his last tune-up before the season. Funny to see him in that Red Sox uniform. I can't believe I almost forgot about that. Immediate error by IKF for the leadoff man on. Ooh, Ryan O'Hearn. First pitch fastball pops him up. Now this is a perfect demonstration of that perceived cut and why it's such a good pitch. So check out the metric here, only 1.4 inches of break, which means, 8 looks straight. Anything less than that from a righty is going to look like it has a little bit of cut. It's not full true cut because it's not in the negatives, but it's getting close. His is at 1.4. Watch this pitch appear to bore in on the lefty batter. See that? Goes left just enough to get off the barrel and pop up O'Hearn. This is a very valuable pitch to him. When he gets swing action on lefties up and in with this pitch, it sets up all his breaking shit off of it, and that's his best stuff. So when you're watching Sonny this Gray versus lefties, look for him to hit with that fastball cutter type thing up in. That will set up everything for him. Here's the first strikeout on a called backdoor sinker. Perfect pitch. Now, he doesn't have a good metric on his sinker. There's not a ton of movement on it. Only 6.8. I mean, it's hard to even call this a sinker. It's basically perceived cut. But it's less cut than his fastball. If the four-seam fastball is at 1 or negatives, and this is 6 or 7, and he throws a ball in that lane, the hitter expects that ball to continue to trend off the plate away. Instead, it comes back to the corner. And this is how Sonny locks up a lot of guys with this sinker, despite it not having a ton of arm side movement. He dots it right in the corner and gets his freezes. So his strikeouts are only breaking balls and usually sinker freezes. That's Sonny's game. All right, here's a strikeout on a breaking ball. This is the sweeper. He's one of the rare guys that gets huge whiff on his sweeper. It's just a gnarly pitch. 86 mile an hour, -17 and -4. This is just an unbelievable breaking ball. And it's a unique talent that he has to spin the absolute crap out of the ball. So a really nice pitch there. All right, here's a hit to lead off the second. And the whole thing just spazzed out, so we didn't get to see it, but it was a hit. And another hit on a sweeper here. Ooh, good swing by Gonzalez there. Here's an out on a sinker. First and second, no outs. Looking for a ground ball. Gets it. IKF to Marcelo onto first. Double play. So nice job there. And then he's going to give up a run here on a curveball to Mangum. Tough guy to strike out. A sneaky, interesting move by the Pirates this year is picking up Mangum and Montgomery from the Rays in their trade also to get Brandon Lau. This guy just doesn't strike out. I believe he's the SEC all-time hits leader. So might not be impressive on the StatCast numbers, but another annoying guy. You don't want to face him with guys on base and 2 outs. He's not going to strike out. That's what you see there. All right, here's another strikeout. This one's on a sinker. Nice pitch, gets the swing over the top. And we're on to the third. Strikeout on a sinker here. Oh, that's what we call the throat cutter. That's an accidental, really scary pitch. Batter's looking to dive, looking to get going early, and ties himself up. Oh my God, he tied himself into a freaking pretzel right there. Nasty. That's an accident, but nasty. All right, here's the sweeper. Dirty. See, like, I could never get any chase on my sweeper, especially to lefties, but he's throwing it so hard with so much movement, and it has depth to it that it plays versus lefties, and it's just wicked and late. So that's the Sonny special. That's what you're going to get to watch all year with the Red Sox this year. And here's another one on a sweeper. Really good pitch. Here's a homer on a cutter. Henry Davis, former #1 overall pick, kind of has no choice but to break out this year. So we'll see if how much run he gets. I think Joey Bart's probably the starter. But right there drives the ball hard. He hit that 103.7 the other way. And now we got a hit by pitch. On a breaking ball. Don't think he's been incredibly sharp, but you still get the idea of what he brings to the table with his spin pitches. Cutter away. This could be a double play. Meyer to first, double plays. That's the second double play he's gotten. Here's an out on a cutter. I've mentioned a lot, right on right. That's the type of action you want on your cutter when they hit the ball. You want to get them off the end and kind of have them pull the ball on the ground. When you're watching Jonah Tong this year or any of the pitchers that have added a cutter and they're using it right on right, that's what you're kind of looking for. Looking to get guys off the end of the bat into pull mode. If they go with that pitch, they're going to have success. So you're looking for guys who are going to try to pull that. Here's an out on a changeup. Haven't seen one of these yet. There's that Mangum. So he makes the adjustment with Mangum. You're not going to punch him out. Might as well try to get the contact you want, which is on the ground. Easy play there. Called strike on a sweeper here. This is -20 at 85. So that's just elite. And here's an out on a cutter. I don't know why we're talking to this Don Kelly, but whatever. Same type of action on the right on right cutter there. Gets him to pull a grounder pull a cutter on the ground off the end of the bat. Here's a four seam, very rare four seam from Sonny. Gets above the barrel on O'Hearn. Pops him up to left. He wants to really limit balls in play against his fastball. For the most part, he wants balls in play to be off of his breaking pitches. Ooh. You guys see the leg hang here? So Joey Bart has a little bit of a timing mechanism. Watch Sonny mess with this right here. And reload and pitch. It's another thing that you can use if you're a kid at home and you want to find another way, another challenge for, batters to solve. Timing stuff. Quick pitch them. Don't do anything crazy, but slide steps, medium tempos, and then leg hangs like this can be quite effective.
Sonny Gray with the full stop.
So just another layer that Sonny adds in there. Here's another strikeout with a curveball. This one's Henry, who took him deep last time.
Breaking ball.
Nasty curveball there. Let's watch this whole at bat. Let's look how he attacks him after giving up a homer. First pitch, backdoor sinker, dotted. Second pitch, sinker up in. Look at that up in target. He knows that his sinker is not a ground ball pitch. It's more of a runner. So that's why you would get that up in target. I love this target by, I assume this is Narvaez. This is a great target right here. Drive that ball right there. Get in on the hands. Henry's early. Now you know you have him all set up for off speed. Goes to the sweeper first. Non-competitive. Goes to the sweeper second. Good take, so he knows he's got to get it out of a higher lane. Anytime you get a no chase on a ball that starts out middle like this, look at this. Anytime you throw a ball right there and you don't get any chase, you know that you need to start it out of a higher lane. So he goes to the curveball. And now he gets the chase. So as you can see, now this ball pops out of the higher lane. Just as I was saying, now that gets Henry to swing. And he's nowhere near it. I love when guys say, I know I have the right speed that I need to get you out front, so I know it's a breaking ball, but I have two different shapes, and I can utilize them both depending on your reaction. Sonny sees that other pitch started too low to get the chase, then he goes higher and undresses him on the curveball. Let's watch it one more time. It's a beautiful curveball. It's the last pitch we'll watch from Sonny. But yeah, I'm excited to watch him pitch for the Red Sox. Really, the whole Red Sox pitching staff is electric. So, Suarez, Crochet, Bayo with the new breaking ball. Sonny, whoever pops in the fifth spot. Very excited to watch the Red Sox toe the slab this year. All right, back into the chat. We didn't look at Tong yet. I have a few people asking me about Tong, so we'll watch him again. We definitely need to watch him. But let me just backtrack into the chat a little bit. How did it feel being in the booth for the Yankees? Will we be doing regular season games? I'm not scheduled for any booth work with the Yankees. It's all studio work. We'll see if we'll I mean, things could change. They're only going with 3 analysts this year. It's Joe Girardi, David Cohn, Paul O'Neill. Maybe there'll be opportunities somewhere along the line. So I had fun doing it. It felt really good. It felt good. I've been dying to get in the booth. I love the tempo of a game as opposed to studio, but I'll just keep myself available. We'll see what happens. I should have some booth with ESPN this year, so keep a lookout for that. Ciao, Adam. Hello from Italy. Can I know your top 5 team for the incoming season? We'll do it really quick. For me, it's Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Mariners, Phillies. So Dodgers, Mariners, Yankees, Mets, and I guess I got to say Blue Jays. Cease showed new changeup yesterday, also the sinker. Okay, so maybe we'll have to look at Cease as well. Do you think Tyler O'Neill will homer for his 7th consecutive opening day? I did not know he had that streak going. That's wild. I mean, the odds are no, but you never know. Ayo, have you heard how Scherzer, after he had thumb issues playing the piano string, I mean, he's always looking for some outside of the box way to heal himself, so not surprised there. Nope, can't talk about that yet. All right, so what do we need? We need Tong, and then there was some Red Sox prospect game. Let's go look at Tong first, and then if we have time, we'll circle back to the Red Sox prospect game. So, all right, so did Jonah pitch? The Mets didn't have their breakout game yesterday, right? So he probably pitched in a real game. Or maybe it was a breakout game. About 2 days ago. It was a real game. Mets, Nats. Against Houston? They have 2 games? Yeah, they did. All right. Jonah Tong. All right, first things first, let's look at the grades and everything, how everything moved. Because the cutter's been the most, notable change. Oh, he finally threw some curveballs. So now we're getting the full arsenal back. I was wondering why he wasn't throwing a lot of curveballs earlier. But, yeah, I mean, last year the 4-seam, the changeup, the curveball was the arsenal. We needed something to go left. It looks like that's the cutter. They're calling it a cutter. I guess it's a cutter. The thing I didn't like about it the first time I saw it was too much of a cutter and not enough of a slider, not enough left on it, so I was worried it would mess up his fastball. And interestingly enough, he did only average 18.6 IVB when he was averaging 20 last year, so let's keep an eye on that. But let's also just watch how the cutter plays. Yesterday's cutter was 31% in zone, got about a neutral amount of chase, didn't get much whiff yesterday in general. Got 8 total whiffs, continue to have no walks. So that's good. Did give up 3 runs. All right, Mets, Houston, 21st. Hopefully we get this game. Jonah, Mr. Jonah Tong. All right, here we go. First batter, 93.9 mile-an-hour fastball. There's the 20 inches of vert. I didn't really get a good look at that. Let me watch that again.
Part of what happens during a starter's first inning.
I think his fastball is like kind of what sets everything up for him. So my whole thing with the cutter is I want him to have it. I just don't want him to mess up his fastball shape. Here's a changeup to Paredes. Hit decent, but a little fly out to center. There's Lubob out there. So 2 outs there. Here's an out here on a curveball. I've been dying for him to throw his curveball. Finally, it's back. I love his curveball, too. Oh, there's Lindor. Makes it look so easy out there. Ooh, nice little snatch by Polanco. Let's watch Lindor again because it's just good to see him back. And he makes plays like this look easy. Always has such a good radar of how fast the runner's moving.
It's about getting ready to go, Garrett. It's nothing.
Rocking the mouthpiece, Mr. Tong. So 3 up, 3 down in the first. Second inning, Jerry Blevins giving a demo. Got a changeup coming.
That's what makes his 95 to 97 play up.
Ball's rocketed in the corner from Zach Cole. This is going to be probably a double, maybe a triple.
3-2 pitch.
Ooh, Alvey with the challenge.
Walker works out walk.
1 run already scored, so there must have been a wild pitch or something. Where was it on the ABS? Fully in there. Alvey correct with the challenge. Good challenge. So he gets the punchy there on a backdoor changeup. I love his. I love really all 3 pitches he came up with last year.
3-2 pitch.
I was just saying it'd be nice if he had something that went left, and it'd be nice if he could pitch a little more to the edges instead of just spamming everything down the middle. But I also didn't want to mess with him too much. It bummed me out a little bit when I saw him come out the gate with so many changeups. I mean, so many cutters at the beginning of spring. But, you know, I get it. If you're going to be doing it, you're going to be doing it. Man, Tauchman looked hurt here.
70 runs.
I wonder how long the knee was bugging him. Watch Tauchman go after this ball. We know he's now out with a torn meniscus and surgery, but he's limping towards that ball. So blooper there.
The Mets a season ago.
4-seam here to, oh, Kevin Biggio. Another guy you just pitch away, up and away all day. Tong gets the pop-up. Semien is there. Only 17.3, which would be great for me, but for him, this is 16. For him, he needs to be closer to 20 for his fastball to continue to be that special, special thing. Man, another freaking blooper. This is a brutal blooper.
He gets up there almost where it feels like it disappears, but can usually keep your control of it.
It's just bad luck. It's just bad luck until you see it enough, but it looks like he just got blooped to death. 2 bloopers here. This one's also a little bit of a flare. I mean, come on. It's weak contact on all those hits. So I know he's going to give up some runs here, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of those hits.
1-1 pitch. Bounce to the left side. Waiting on it is Brett Beatty.
Change up. Nice pitch there. I do like his changeup. It's slow.
He doesn't give up a base hit.
Fastball off the end. Ooh, Roberts there. He's going to be a big improvement in center for the Mets, I think, just as an everyday guy. I mean, I know Tyrone's a great outfielder too, but, you know, in terms of his hitting plus his defense. Cam Smith on the fastball. I'm definitely not loving that his fastball's been inconsistent in movement, but that's more of what you're expecting to see. 21 inches of vert. Make sure you get under the ball. That's 19. The ball might be a homer, but instead it's under it just enough. Pops it up. Soto in left. I forgot he's left fielder now. Here's a strikeout on a changeup here. Same guy who tripled off him before gets him this time with the changeup. Let's watch this whole at bat. Let's watch how he gets this punchy. All right, first pitch 4-seam. Swing and a miss. Second pitch cutter. Backdoor target. Up in ball.
It's a ball and a strike to Zach Cole, who tripled and scored in the second inning. Rolls 1 foul.
Fastball in, foul ball. Changeup. And then another changeup.
That brick wall in right field.
Cole nowhere near that. So good execution there. Here's a hit on a curveball from Mr. Walker. Curveball right and right can have that type of effect sometimes. You don't get enough off the end. Guys can hang on it. Bloop it into left. Here's another hit. Oh. Yeah, I gotta believe Tauchman was hurt during this entire sequence because he's great around the fence. It sucks, man. You're basically about to get added to the roster. You know, you're going to be part of a really good baseball team. After a tough offseason of no MLB deals, you get all the way through spring, you've done what you needed to do, and then your meniscus just goes. So now you're going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, and the Mets have no incentive to put you on the roster or anything, so it just sucks. But you can tell right there he's not moving the normal way. Tauchman's a really good outfielder, particularly up near the wall, from what I've seen. Here's a strikeout on a changeup.
you're going to be able to get people out.
Way out front. Very nice. So you're seeing a lot of the ingredients of what makes Tong so exciting. You know, when the fastball's up around 20 IVB, it's hard for them to do anything but pop it up. And then the off-speed pitches have a good amount of whiff in them.
100%.
There's another strikeout with the changeup. So he punched out most of his guys with changeups in this game. There's an accidental front door changeup. And that's it for him. Back to his page here. Yeah, I just like, it's not like 18.6 isn't good on his IVB. It's good. He just was averaging over 20 last year. So let's keep an eye on that, you know, as he starts the year in AAA. I think the cutter, especially where it's at now, is probably a pretty good addition. But again, just don't take away from that fastball. I'm glad he looped back in the curveball. You know, people are going to see the no walks, and they're going to say, oh, he's got good command. But for me, he's got good control. I don't think he's got... I don't think he has got good command. I think he just kind of throws everything down the middle for the most part, and that's sort of just the way it is. Let's go hunt for some cutters because I see that there's some questions on cutters. So let's go hunt around for some cutters. Here's one to low perfito. Ball. Here's another one to low perfito. Ball. All right, we're just going to hunt for cutters. Here's a first pitch cutter to Paredes. So those first two are up high. That one's in there. So far, using it early in the count, that seems to be idea. Here's one. 2-2 to Cam Smith. So this would be more for Chase. That's that contact I was talking about. You want to throw that right and right cutter off the edge of the plate, and hopefully they try to pull it and they hit it on the ground off the end of the bat. If they stay with that pitch, they might be able to drive it, but a lot of guys are in pull mode, so that's how he would use it versus righties late in the count. No cutters this at bat. Here's one, 3-1. So again, more using it as a strike pitch. Works there. I think that makes a little bit of sense. Like, if they're going to try to cheat on your fastball, give them something with a little bit of a different shape. Here's another cutter on 3-2 to Walker, Christian Walker. Pulls it foul. The swings have been okay. They haven't been great against it, so I like that. What else? Nope, first pitch cutter again. So versus lefties, it's a big-time choice early in the count. They want him to get ahead when guys are taking with the cutter. Kind of hold back his best pitches till after that, which makes a lot of sense. That's how I would use my cutter a lot. You get ahead with it. That way, you know, in the big pitches, you haven't overexposed your best stuff. Like here's a 1-0 cutter. So he's thrown a few with count leverage, but for the most part, it's been behind in the count. Here's another one. Oh, 0-1 here. Definitely more of a weapon versus lefties. Trying to throw it. Looks like at the top rail. You see Alvy's target's kind of medium height to high. I think right down the middle. Almost gets some swing action, but doesn't. There's another one. This is a 1-1 to Walker. So there's some righties they want to throw it to that they think they can get off the end of the bat. Walker's been a candidate so far. He's seen a few of them. And it does. It gets off the end there. Not a bad pitch. It's definitely improving. It's going left more consistently and definitely looks better than it looked at the beginning. It's been trending in a better direction. Looks like he's getting more of a feel for the shape of it. But I wouldn't say he's got pinpoint control of it yet, if that makes sense. Here's a first pitch cutter for a swinging strike to Biggio. I mentioned how you just want to stay up with Biggio. He's very scoopy. I mean, that's kind of a really good pitch to hit, but he's still under it. I don't know. I just really like watching this guy kind of learn how to utilize this new offering. Cutter in, easy take. So it looks like the main purpose of the cutter is to help him get ahead in the count and keep his best pitches, you know, from getting overexposed. That's my analysis of it so far, and the shape's getting better as we go. He's getting more consistent action to the left as we go, so maybe we are settling into a little better place with this pitch. But I don't think this would be a great pitch to be spamming in the zone either. So he's going to have to pick his spots with it, and I think that's what you're seeing. A lot of behind an account, trying to be on the outer edge versus the righties and the upper in spot versus the lefties. Like, this is another one. It's like their fourth foul ball we've seen right on a cutter where they just tip it off the edge.
Don't go your way of baseball. And you have to be able to
cheat on it.
Salgado is the new
Another first pitch cutter here.
Jonah Tong.
So that's ideally what he wants to do. He wants to throw a top shelf backdoor cutter to a lefty first pitch. There's a lot of take there. And you think about it, out of that lane, the four seam up will play great. The curveball will feel great coming up out of that slot as well. So now you have a perfect initial tunnel for two of his best pitches if he lands this pitch. So this is going to be the intent the majority of the time, is an up and away front first pitch cutter to a lefty. That's what you're going to see a lot of. And that should set him up for some level of success. All right, so that's all the cutters. And again, like, you just look at the movement on it. I mean, it averaged negative 5.1 in this game. When we first saw it, he was throwing like 12 or 14 inches of vert with like -1. So it really wasn't much different than the fastball, just a lesser version of the fastball. And now it's a more of a distinctive pitch. It's not creeping as close on the chart to his fastball. Like, there's a big difference between the purple and the pinks here. And I just don't want it to be too close. That'll mess up his fastball a little bit. So that's my number one thing I'm thinking about with Jonah. Probably won't see him pitch on a big league stage for at least a couple weeks. But looks like we made some progress this spring. Definitely made some progress with him. No doubt about it. All right. Let's see here. What we got in here? In the chat. Oh, so you guys are still curious about this. So look, it's going to be announced today. It's just like, I'm kind of like in a reporter role, but like in-game analysis role. So I'm not in the booth, I'm not in the studio, but I will be looking sharp and I will be somewhere in the ballpark doing some analysis every inning. It's a huge opportunity for me, so I'm super stoked about it. NBC, I think, is going to do a great job, and we're just going to have to see how it goes. But first one's coming up here on the 26th. So I can't give you the exact specifics, but that'll probably come out later today because we have like a media call later about it. All right, what else we got here? My dad hiked Mount Marcy with a meniscus tear. Don't recommend. No. He really has command issues. Works in Double-A because he walks guys, then strikes out the next three. You know, his walk numbers have never been bad. It's just like, to me, there's two things. There's command and control. Control is just your ability to throw enough pitches over the plate. Command is the ability to throw the ball in the lanes you want consistently on command, throw balls on purpose, throw strikes on purpose, but hit the edges, that sort of thing. To me, he lacks command, although he has excellent control in that he doesn't walk a lot of guys. So a little bit of a nuance there. Control's the first thing you need to have, but command serves you better at the big league level overall. Is the mouthpiece in case of a comebacker? I don't think a mouthpiece would do much. It's not actually. What these modern mouthpieces do is they actually just keep you from clenching your jaw. That's the only thing they do. They have like a little titanium plate in the back of your back teeth, and they keep you from clenching your jaw, because when you clench your jaw, you release a lot of cortisol, you know, stress hormone, that type of thing into your body. And so it keeps you kind of loose and clear if you can't clench your jaw. So that's why people do that. They do that to stay loose and more, I guess, less stress, avoid that hormonal release. That's kind of the reason for that. Talkman moving like Grisham when he was injured last year. Yeah, it just didn't look right there. Wow, so Vescursion calls the game for Netflix on the 25th at 8 p.m. local in San Francisco. Then has to be in NY for a 1:15 game the following day. That's called the old red-eye switcheroo, but good for him. That's pretty cool. Watching at work, so I'm in and out, but I had a question about reading separation of pitches from the data. You're mainly looking at speed and difference in movement in terms of either induced vertical. I don't really look too much on horizontal, although that's important from four seam to sinker, but especially vertical break. So, you know, four seam and change up, you want to see how much there is there. So again, it's speed and it's also vertical movement. Thank you. Grinding your teeth, a la Roger Clemens back in the day. Okay, so there was some Red Sox we wanted to look at in the prospect game. I'm about to wrap this thing up in a few minutes. I have time for one more look through. So we got to look for the Red Sox. prospect game if we can. There were a couple of pitchers that were of interest in this game. Kyson Witherspoon being probably the one that I'm most interested in, as well as Jake Bennett. Jake Bennett is an interesting one. If you have the other guys in here, please let me know so I can go through them one at a time. First, we're going to look at Jake Bennett. So this was on what day? The 20th. I want to get all this TJ stats up here as well because, you know, why not? All right, Jake Bennett. This was the guy they acquired from the Nationals. He's a big-ass dude, 6'6", 234, lefty, good velocity, I believe. Let's see. Averages 94.2 from the left side. Man, his sinker's got a crazy grade, 112 sinker grade. What's the shape on that? 4.1, negative 19.1. That's gross. And does he have a high release with that? No, low release, 25. So same release as me. So you're going to see a little bit of a low three-quarter, almost sidearm release. Ton of horizontal break on his stuff. Just going to have to get a look at this guy. They traded him straight up for Luis Perales, who was like a big stuff guy for the Red Sox. Interesting move for both sides. Interesting that Taboni also traded with the Red Sox where he just came from. You know, Taboni is now the guy with the Nationals. All right, Jake Bennett. That's the first guy we want to watch. No, not this one. We're in the research tool. All right, Jake Bennett. I've never watched this guy, so I'm curious. All right, first pitch, first batter gets on with a cutter here. Enrique Bradford rolling it through the right side. First thing you're going to notice about Bennett, he's just big. Just a really big lefty. But a lot of people think this guy has big upside. I was talking to Weissert about him. There's been a lot of that going on. That's a changeup, popped up. Man, terrible lighting at this game. All right, so we got a pop-up, and now we have Ike Irish. What a name. Ike Irish. I believe he's a catching prospect for the Orioles. Says he's first base in this game. Gets in there with the sinker. Sinker's going to be his best pitch. Oh, the big fella almost, well, he did eat it, but I hope he's okay. So his sinker's got incredible shape, big-time arm side movement. Left on left, good luck. You're going to see a lot of this type of jam Johnsons. Gets the call there. Next batter is, another big-time college guy from last year. Wehiwa Aloy. I think he might have won the Golden Spikes last year. And Bennett punches him with 94 four-seam down the middle. Let me watch that again. This delivery just... He's got a little bit of the Connolly Early thing going on. No, of the Peyton Tolley thing going on. I don't know what does it say his extension is? Yeah, 7.2. So big time extension. Fastball is going to play up. Not sure the release angles yet. I see 2.6, 2.7. Hard to know what that means yet, but just wanted to point that out. There might be something there with a little bit of a weird approach from his fastball. So pretty good first inning there, even after that leadoff hit. And then he gets a second inning. There's an error. He makes the error. Let's watch it. Change up here to Reed Trimble. Yeesh. That did not look very good, but whatever. And then he immediately gets the double play. It's nice being a lefty. You can just keep him on first, especially a guy with this profile is going to get a lot of ground balls. Huh. Even on a high four-seamer. Double play. And then he hits a guy. Creed Williams. Man, these names are fascinating. Right in the back. Right in the elbow. Give him the old swellbow. This guy be a scary guy to face left on left with the way that ball runs in on you. And then his last guy is going to be Colin Yeaman. I'm going to catch him looking on a four-seamer. So that's our first look at him. Honestly, he reminds me size-wise of like Drew Pomeranz. I mean, I know they have totally different arm angles and arsenals, but just like, I don't know, the slow nature of his body language and just like the size of him, he looks like Drew Pomeranz. So that's going to be my early thought, even though they're totally different pitchers. So that's Jake Bennett. Got to look at him. And then I really wanted to look at Kyson Witherspoon. So let me go back to this TJ stuff and look at Kyson Witherspoon from this game. This was a first-round pick last year, I believe, out of Oklahoma. We might have to reload the page. Oh, no, we got him. All right, here he is. Kyson Witherspoon, 6'2", 206. He went an inning and 2/3, 1 run, 3 hits, 2 Ks, 1 walk, 56% strikes, 3 whiffs. Four-seam slider, cutter, changeup. This was the guy that Driveline was parading around for the new sweeper. Don't think we saw one of those in this game. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, 96 on the fastball. Not a great level of IVB, especially from the 43-degree angle. So that's weird. Not a great shape, although it's a cut shape. So it's a weird cutter type shape fastball. Tight slider, which I think is what he's known for. 90-mile-an-hour cutter, but that's like a slider shape as well. And then changeup. A little light on the extension. Stuff grades are every pitch is rated as slightly above average. So let's just watch it a little bit. Kyson Witherspoon. These Gen Z names, out of control, right, guys? All right, Witherspoon. Where you at, bro? First batter is going to be Colin Yeaman. He's going to get a hit on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got that short arm action, plenty of velo. Little 2-0 fastball gets ripped right through there. But let's look at the stats last year from the NCAA. 16 starts, 10-4, 2.65, 1 flat whip, 11 Ks, 2.2. So a lot of measurables to like there. All right, second batter. No, I don't want next pitch. I want next batter. So that was Yeaman, and then we're going to have an error. Mikey Romero. This is another guy who's looking to get up to Boston this year. Romero, former first-rounder, kind of taking a long journey to get back into relevance. Right through the 5-hole there. So very weird start here. 2 guys on, nobody out. And then double play. Wow, God must be hit hard to get Enrique Bradford to hit into a double play, and it looks like it is. 99 miles an hour. Yep. I mean, couldn't be more perfect. Right to the bag. So gets a little double play there. Pumping 97 for sure. And then this is a challenge, and it's going to be a punch-out looking on a slider. Here's a good look at that slider. Strike 3, they checked it. But unfortunately for this dude, it's in there. All right, he gets another. He's still going, right? Ike Irish. That Ike Irish guy again with a hit. Double I. Ooh, that ball smacked. Oh, just misses a home run by what? 2 inches? Ike Irish swinging it well. Yeah, very top of the wall. You could just tell off the bat this ball was pummeled. It's that typical 4-seam down. That's the spot that gets smacked these days. Ike Irish. Now he's going to strike out Aloy. So second time we've seen Aloy go down. This one's on a changeup, right on right. Oh, very nice pitch. Love that. That right on right changeup down in. Blind spot for a lot of big-time hitters. Nice pitch. So we've seen slider, we've seen changeup, we've seen some good velocity. So our first look at Mr. Witherspoon. Here's Reed Trimble getting a single. This is on a fastball. Wonder if it's down. This is 98-1. In the big leagues, that's probably an out, and here it's an easy hit. So he didn't do anything wrong pitching there. And then there's a steal, and then another ground out. This is a cutter. It's the first time looking at the cutter, which had its highest stuff grade. They almost botched that one, but they do get the out. It's a little down cutter, weird pitch. And then there's a walk, and that's it. So really nothing to see here. Not a whole lot to see. I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird that he doesn't have more IVB on his fastball considering how high the arm slot is at 43 degrees. So I'm sure this guy will start in high A or maybe even double A, and we'll see if he can get himself up there. Plenty of velocity, a little bit of a short arm action. Somebody to take a look at long term, but he won't be on the Red Sox right now. So I think that might be it. Let me get back in here on the chat in the middle, and then I will say goodbye for today, and we'll do it again tomorrow. I'm thinking AO 999 challenge would be elite content. You see these guys now, all the stadiums are doing it. They're actually having it as part of their thing. I see the Mets have it now. I think the Giants too. So they're leaning into this challenge. That's the 9 dogs, 9 beers, 9 innings, 9-9 challenge. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for your system. 9 beers, 9 dogs. I don't think I could do that. I mean, I could try, but that wouldn't be my thing. I would not like to do that. Who are my sleeper picks for MVP? Sleeper picks for MVP. Obviously, the non-sleepers are, Judge and Ohtani from each side. So I would say Bobby Witt, even though it's not much of a sleeper. He's probably the next in line in the AL, but I'd say Caminero would be my sleeper, Junior Caminero in the AL. In the NL, sleeper pick, NL MVP, I'm going to go with... We'll go with PCA. If PCA can put together 2 full halves, he's got the ability to be there because of the defense. Plus, he hit 30 pumps last year, but that was with a bad second half. So what if he goes 40-40 and plays elite defense and the Cubs are in first? I could see that. So that's my guess. I guess neither of these are full sleepers, but it's hard for a real true sleeper to win the MVP. Is almost impossible. In regards to the earlier Dollander talk, just read that the concern is ability to put hitters away once he has 2 strikes. I want him to work on saving his pitches and executing ground balls. Okay. It's a tough place to try to pitch to contact. I do love his sinker shape. We talked about that earlier when we watched him. Curious how much he leans into that. They need to teach him a little bit about how to freeze guys. But I just don't know how the bullpen helps. Aaron Judge is definitely not a sleeper. Actions. He's going for his 4th MVP, so. Which team presses the panic button first, firing their manager if they start poorly? I think there's only a few options here, right? Rob Thompson, Mendoza. I mean, it's teams with big expectations that have been together for a while. So it's those 2, I would say. I don't think Hinch is going anywhere. Vote. I'm trying to think of teams with expectations where this could happen. But it's got to be a team with expectations. I don't think it'll be the Orioles. It won't be the Red Sox. Won't be the Blue Jays. They just extended somebody. They extended Schneider. This is my last thought here before I say goodbye. AL Central. Everybody just kind of rehired people. It won't be Hinch. Maybe Kotze, although he seems pretty locked in Sacramento. I think Philly. I think Philly's the one. Philly and New York, those are the 2 you can see happening. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe in Houston. With, who is it, Espada now? Maybe Espada. So we'll see. Not sure if you answered this. Will you be doing a B and C preseason top 10 in each position? I wasn't planning on it. I feel like we've done a ton of preview stuff, so I'm really just into kicking it around these last spring games. Like tonight, we have Legrande versus Imanaga. That'll be something to watch tomorrow. So I wasn't going to do a top 10 in each position. I mean, we can do it a little bit informally, but 2 more days of previews, and then we're on with it. Now, on opening day, because I'm working the game, we're going to do Baseball After Dark on Thursday night. That should be great for opening day. We'll go through everything that happened. It'll be very exciting. So I hope you guys join me on Thursday night for Baseball After Dark. There are some sweatshirts and some crew neck sweatshirts up on the store. If anybody's interested, take a peek. If not, that's fine too. We'll get more sizes up there shortly, but that's what we got so far. So thank you guys so much for hanging with me. This turned into a pretty fun stream despite having no idea what I would talk about. We talked for 2 hours and 12 minutes. So thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, have a great day. Have a great Monday. Have a great week, everybody. All right, see you later.